Da 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 da. Welcome to disenFRIENDSchised, the one where we break apart Friends episodes one at a time, demonstrating disenfranchised grief. Today's episode is a redo for episode 14, the one with the candy hearts. So, this episode is the day before Valentine's Day, and everyone's in that familiar panic of, do I have plans? Do I have a date? Do I look like I'm doing life right? And the sitcom demonstrates the different human stuff, the loneliness, the old patterns, the rebound energies, and the messy ways we try to protect ourselves. So we have a couple of different things going on. We've got Chandler and Joey going on a double date so that Joey can get to know a girl that he's been interested in for a while. We have Ross looking at his first date after divorce, and we have the three ladies looking to do a ritual to try and break old patterns by burning things that they've held on to from past relationships. So we'll start with Chandler and Joey. Joey has a date, and she wants a double date for her friend. And Joey convinces Chandler to go because it's been a while since Chandler's had a date, only to find out that this friend is Janice. In a city as big as New York, what are the odds, right? So Janice and Chandler are definitely annoyed that their friends have brought them together on the day before Valentine's Day after breaking up so many times already throughout this first season. And Joey ditches them. His date wants time alone, so Joey hands his credit card over to Chandler and says, I'm really sorry. Make the most of it. Dinner's on me. So Chandler and Janice decide to get a little nutty and run his credit card up. Champagne, 2 bottles of champagne for both of us. They try and make the most of a bad situation. Chandler wakes up in bed next to Janice. And later in the day, Janice gets candy hearts made that say Chan and Jan forever. And it definitely hits Chandler wrong. As much as he didn't want to be alone, much like in the New Year's episode, he's realizing that being with her is not exactly what he wants either. Then moving into Ross, we have his first date after the divorce. He sees one of his neighbors at the coffee house, and the guys get encouraging for how to have him ask her out. So she borrowed an egg once. So they get an egg from somebody at the coffee house, and he goes to return it. It works. She agrees to go out with him. When Chandler goes to hug him and congratulate him, the egg gets squashed between the two of them because she didn't take the egg back. So they go on this date. They go to a Japanese steakhouse, and they're having a delightful time until Carol, his ex, walks in with her partner, Susan. And Carol is extremely pregnant at this point, and Ross's attention is more focused on Carol than on his date. And when he watches Carol get abandoned because Susan gets called away to work, he invites, with the permission of his date, Carol over to join them. And he gets so wrapped up in talking to Carol that he ignores his date. She disappears into the bathroom, and he makes a comment many, many minutes later about, wow, she's been in there a while. And Carol says, yeah, I don't think she's coming back. So they have this heartfelt conversation, and Ross is like, why can't we just go back to the way we were? This is so great. Can we just put a pin in this and just hold time? And she's like, but we can't. My heart's moved on. You need to do you. This doesn't work for us anymore. So Ross kind of realizes that as much as he wants to get out there and start grabbing spoons, he can't do it if he can't let go of Carol, which goes into the Rachel, Monica, and Phoebe burn it down night. So they need to let go. So they start throwing different mementos into a trash can that they're going to burn. And it's pictures, it's just different mementos. And the last thing that Rachel adds is some of Paolo's alcohol, which of course sends everything ablaze, and the fire department gets called. So the girls then think, okay, so in burning things down, new folks show up. Well, the firemen aren't exactly single, so that doesn't work 100%. But the releasing quality of what they're trying to do is important, because sometimes we do hold on to elements of the past that aren't always healthy to hold on to. So what the episode is really kind of about, after you get rid of all the extra jokes and humor, is saying yes too fast, or staying too long, or reaching backward instead of forward, or trying to purge pain without actually processing it. I'm not saying that any of this is wrong. I'm saying that it's human nature to try and move forward quickly, to put a pin in things and try and leapfrog over, because we just want to feel better as fast as we can. And sometimes in doing that, we fail to do the right healing. Band-aids are great, but they don't always stay. We know this. If you get it wet, it falls off. So how do you try and heal those wounds so that when you do these burn it down purgings or go on that first date, that you're not thinking about the last person you were with? How do you not compare? And that's hard. I mean, Chandler could have woke up next to Janice and said, you know what? The universe is trying to tell us that we're just supposed to be together. So even if she doesn't make me happy, I'm just going to stay. And he knew enough in his heart to know that she was not the person that he wanted to be with, at least not at this moment. So there are some signs if you're dating from loneliness or not being ready. Sign one is you'll feel panicky when there's silence. If they don't text back, your nervous system starts writing a whole novel. They're seeing other people. I'm not important enough. I don't matter. You're checking your phone all the time. You're rereading the messages to try and get a deeper meaning out of it. A good morning could suddenly feel neglectful if you're not in the right headspace. And you try and fix things or overcompensate for things, and maybe it's just not a good fit. Another sign is you're editing yourself to keep them. We should not have to be more or less of who we are when it comes to any kind of relationship. If you're too much for someone, don't become less. Embrace being too much, because the right person is going to love you being so much. The wrong person, they're going to want to make you quieter, make you different. And change may be good, but that evolution needs to come from you, not from encouragement from someone else. Another sign is if you're choosing what's available and not what's aligned. Sometimes we so desperately don't want to have that Valentine's Day or that New Year's Eve party or that wedding to attend without having somebody with us. And it's one thing to have a companion to go to something with. It's another thing to try and make it more just because you don't want to be alone. And another sign is if you're trying to replace a feeling, not building a relationship. Sometimes it's just that emptiness or that sadness that you hold on to for that empty seat at the table that you just want to get filled. And that's not always healthy. I remember in a lot of past dating experiences having a couple of really great first dates, and I couldn't wait to get to that point where we could sit at a table and play cards or have those serious talks, and you just want to hit fast forward so bad. But learning to live in the moment and really getting to know that person, to know if they are the right connection for you, Are they somebody that is supposed to be romantic? Are they somebody that's supposed to be a friend to help build you up so that when you are ready to take that romantic step, you're more prepared and have a stronger foundation for it? Sometimes the relationships that we need are different than the ones that we want. That need and want thing is definitely a conflict I think a lot of us can relate to. Placeholder dynamics without finger pointings. Chandler and Janice are such a good example with this. Sometimes we reconnect with someone not because it's right, but because it's familiar. And familiarity can feel like safety when you're lonely. Signs that you might be someone's placeholder is if they don't want to be alone, but you're here. It's not always malicious, but it can be painful. Identifying whether or not you're somebody's rebound and learning to whether or not you are okay with that. Depending on where they are in their life, maybe they showed up for you at the right time. Maybe they're giving you everything that you never realized you wanted, like daily check-ins, turning their phone off when they're with you because they don't want distractions. They want to know who you are. Maybe that's everything that you need, but this could be the first real dating experience they've had since their last breakup, since their divorce, since they had a death from their partner. And their space may be different. They're learning how to stand alone again. They're figuring out what they need. And if you're willing to move to that and be patient, then neither person's a placeholder, but they're in a different spot in their lives too. And being mindful of those things, it's a dance. Sometimes we fall in love with what a person could be. Um, the first relationship I had after I moved to Delaware, I fell for what things looked like when we were together, the boxes that were being checked, not the true dynamic of the relationship. And it's easy to convince yourself that there's more there when there's not. And then when you finally take a step back and the relationship crumbles, you feel beaten, kind of deflated. You made yourself vulnerable for somebody new and you got hurt. But you can't cower either. You've got to learn how to look at that and change the perspective and look at it as a lesson. That's not easy. It took longer than we were together for me to start to recognize it wasn't a good fit. And they've moved on since then. And congratulations that they found somebody that is a good fit, but it can still hurt you while you're trying to build. So the awareness is huge, and not being afraid to keep putting yourself out there is harder, especially if you're dealing with loss of a partner. When my husband died, I was afraid to get back out there and date because I was afraid of having to deal with losing someone else through death. And the first person that I connected with had been my first love, and things were great. He really helped me even through the loss of my husband. He encouraged me to talk about him. He encouraged me to share memories with my kiddos, and he asked a lot of questions and was very present. But he also helped me remember what life was like when we were together, when we were teenagers. And that was amazing. Sadly, he passed away in 2024. So my big fear of losing that next person did happen. We were not together at that point, but we had never lost contact. And it rattled me. And I had to stop and think, is it better to protect myself and live in a bubble and not put myself back out there? Or is it better for me to have those attachments and understand that whether they're friendships, romantic, whatever, having those connections, yes, it's a gamble. You could still lose them. They could walk away from you. They could die. But it's better to have had those extra memories and time with somebody that helped you enjoy and embrace life again than to live in a bubble where you're just trying not to get hurt. Signs that you may be treating someone like a placeholder is you only reach out when you feel lonely or triggered. They become your emotional on call. You keep them at arm's length but expect closeness from them. You avoid clarity so that everything feels temporary. And you accept their efforts, but you don't always reciprocate them. The impact is they feel optional. If you hear yourself in any of that, it doesn't make you a villain. It means that you're human and you're protecting yourself, but it's important for you to start looking at, why am I doing these things? Is this a pattern that I have? Am I protecting myself because I think that they could hurt me? Are they not actually the true fit that I'm looking for? I want you to know that I'm not trying to keep you at a distance. I'm learning how to date again. It's something that you can say to help them realize that you're doing it so that they don't run away from you either. Because if this is somebody that you could have a good future with, learn how to speak to them and to communicate what you're feeling. Because maybe your relationship with them just needs to move at a different pace. It's not like dating is not like it used to be. Everything takes different timelines. And if you've been hurt, you need to be able to tell that person of interest, I need to go slow, or if I get emotional sometimes, it's not you. Explaining that to prepare their heart space too helps. There are safer rituals than the burning everything that the girls did. The symbolism is amazing and it's true. Purging can be very cleansing. But you can also just light a candle and name a few things that you want to release. I'm releasing the pattern of ignoring red flags, or do a 2-column truth, what it cost me and what it taught me. If I had done the 2-column truth with the first gentleman that I dated when I moved to Delaware, it probably wouldn't have taken me quite as long to work up the nerve to get back out there again. Then there's boundary blessings. I don't confuse attention with care. I don't confuse chemistry with safety. I don't abandon myself to keep someone. If you ever find that you're losing your identity, or your focus becomes so much more of an obsession with them instead of all the tasks you need to do, paying bills, showing up for work, cleaning your house, cooking meals, engaging with your kids, helping with homework. If your focus is so much on that potential partner, it may not be a healthy balance. So this is kind of what the one with Candy Hearts is all about. It's a funny episode, but it also hits a real truth. Valentine's Day pressure, or any holiday pressure, can make us chase relief instead of alignment. If you're dating again after loss, or even just trying to open up again, go slow. Let consistency matter more than chemistry. And don't confuse attention with care. If you want support as you navigate grief, love, and rebuilding, check out my community with the Naked Grief. I've got 4 different communities. There's an assessment that you can take prior to help you determine what that right initial fit's going to be. And every month you get a heart check. And each heart check will identify what group may fit you best for where you are each month. You can jump around. Maybe sometimes you need more of a one-on-one type coaching, which I still do virtually through the platform, but that's through my spirit wisdom. It's a lot more coaching based. It's stretching exercises, it's affirmations, it's understanding where you are versus where you want to be. And then my Healing Hearts, or my Grief Wisdom Circle, deals a lot more with the different types of grief you may be going through or feeling or trying to work with. And then we've got our wholehearted healing, which does a lot more internal healing. It's with chakras. It's EFT tapping. It's different meditations and things like that. And that's done through my co-host at times, Melissa Bishop. So there's a lot of different elements that are out there that you can customize and tweak that cost you way more than usually a one-on-one session with someone would cost. So keep all of that in mind. There are links in the bio. Follow, please. And we'll see you next time for episode 15, the one with the stoned guy. So that's when Monica gets the chance to fulfill a dream of being a chef in a brand new restaurant, creating menus and doing all the things that has always been her passion points. So we'll take a deeper dive into what it looks like when you're really close to attaining something that has been a goal, and what happens and how you work through it when it doesn't come to fruition the way you expected. So we'll see you again next week. Da 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 da.